An unplanned detour. The Nemorian scientific vessel Stellar Horizon shuddered violently as its primary reactor core cascaded into catastrophic failure. Commander Velatarn gripped her command chair, her silver-gray skin flushing darker with stress as warning indicators flashed across the bridge's displays. "Status report," she demanded, maintaining the calm demeanor expected of a commander from the technologically advanced Nemorian consortium. Science Officer Merrick looked up from his diagnostic panel, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of extreme concern among their kind. "Total propulsion failure, Commander. The quantum matrix has destabilized beyond emergency recovery protocols." Vela suppressed her dismay. The Stellar Horizon, once the pride of the Nemorian scientific fleet, now drifted helplessly in an uncharted sector. "Nearest habitable world." "There is one," Navigation Officer Lyra replied hesitantly. "But it's Earth." A tense silence fell over the bridge. Earth was barely mentioned in Nemorian databases, a developing world with limited interstellar presence. Their species had deliberately avoided contact with humans, considering them technologically primitive and culturally unpredictable. "Send distress signals on all frequencies," Vela ordered, "and prepare for emergency landing. We have no alternative." As the Stellar Horizon breached Earth's atmosphere, a transmission crackled through their communications array. "Unidentified vessel, this is Horizon Mechanics of Earth. We've detected your descent trajectory and powered fluctuations. Follow our landing beacon. We got space for you." The Nemorians exchanged confused glances. Where was the Planetary Defense Force? The diplomatic course? Instead, they were being guided by what appeared to be mechanics. The ship trembled as it pushed through clouds. Vela watched the viewscreen show a blue-green landscape coming into focus. "Lock onto their beacon," she ordered. "What choice do we have?" Navigation Officer Lyra nodded and adjusted their descent path. "Beacon locked. It's coming from a remote area, not a major population center." Engineer Toll rushed onto the bridge, his uniform stained with coolant fluid. "Commander, we cannot restart the reactor. The matrix is completely destabilized." Vela nodded grimly. "Then we must trust these humans." The Stellar Horizon broke through the cloud layer, revealing vast forests and mountains below. The beacon led them to a large clearing with several industrial buildings and a wide landing zone. The emergency landing systems fired, slowing their descent, but the ship still hit the ground with bone-jarring force. "Damage report," Vela called out, picking herself up from the floor. "Hull integrity at 87%. Lyra replied. "Life support stable. No casualties." Vela straightened her uniform and composed herself. "Very well. Let us meet these humans who have offered assistance." The crew gathered at the main airlock. The Nemorians were known throughout their region of space as a dignified species with advanced technology. They took pride in their formal diplomatic protocols and scientific achievements. "Remember," Vela told her crew, "these humans are less advanced. They may be overwhelmed by our appearance and technology. Be patient with them." When the airlock cycled open, Vela was surprised to see not a formal greeting party, but 3 humans in stained work clothes standing casually next to a large ground vehicle. One of them, a woman with braided red hair, stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth," she said, wiping her hands on a rag. "I'm Maya Chen, head engineer of Horizon Mechanics. That was some landing you pulled off." Vela blinked her large, silver eyes, momentarily confused by the casual greeting. "I am Commander Velatarn of the Nemorian scientific vessel Stellar Horizon. We thank you for your assistance in our time of need." Maya nodded, looking past her at the damaged ship. "Quantum matrix failure, right? We picked up the energy signature when your core went critical. Been seeing that a lot in ships with similar configurations." Engineer Toll stepped forward, surprise evident on his features. "You are familiar with Nemorian quantum matrix systems." Maya grinned. "We're familiar with everything that flies, crashes, or drifts into our sector. Horizon Mechanics handles all kinds of repairs, no matter where the tech comes from. Another human, a tall man with dark skin, approached the ship and ran a small device along the hull. Maya, we've got multiple fractures in the quantum containment housing. Looks like they've been running hot for weeks. Vela turned to Toll with a questioning look. The engineer lowered all four eyes. It is possible we pushed the matrix beyond recommended parameters to collect data from the nearby neutron star. Maya laughed. Don't worry about it. We've seen worse, much worse. I do not understand, Vela said. Where is your planetary defense force? Your diplomatic corps? We are foreign visitors making an emergency landing. The third human, a younger woman with short blonde hair and a toolbox slung over her shoulder, spoke up. This is the middle of nowhere, Commander. The nearest government outpost is hundreds of miles away. Out here, people help each other first and worry about paperwork later. We notified the authorities. Maya added. They said to tell you welcome to Earth, sorry about your ship, and they'll send someone to take your statements, eventually. Bureaucracy moves slow, repairs move fast. That's why Horizon Mechanics exists. Vela and her crew followed the humans toward one of the buildings. The Nemorians walked stiffly, maintaining their formal bearing. The humans moved with relaxed ease, already discussing repair options. So what brings a Nemorian scientific vessel to this part of space? Maya asked. We don't get many visitors from your sector. We were collecting data on the unusual radiation patterns from the PSR J1748 neutron star, Vela explained. The route was supposed to be safely within our navigation parameters. Maya nodded. Cutting-edge research. It'll get you every time. As they entered a large workshop, the Nemorians gasped collectively. Inside were parts and pieces of spacecraft from at least a dozen different worlds. Some Vela recognized, others were completely alien to her. Welcome to Horizon Mechanics, Maya said, gesturing around the shop. If it can break, we can fix it. And if we can't fix it, we'll rebuild it better than before. Vela exchanged glances with her crew. They had expected to be stranded for months while waiting for a Nemorian rescue vessel. Instead, they had found these strange, informal humans who spoke of repairing their advanced ship as if it were a simple task. How long will repairs take? Vela asked cautiously. Maya looked at her colleagues, who shrugged. Depends on what we find once we get in there. Could be a few days, could be a few weeks. But don't worry, Commander. You and your crew are welcome to stay with us while we work. As the humans began preparing their tools and discussing repair strategies, Vela realized that perhaps the Nemorian databases were wrong about Earth. These humans might lack the formality her people valued, but they approached complex problems with a confident ease that was both puzzling and impressive. Perhaps this unexpected landing would prove more interesting than she had initially feared. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Horizon Mechanics facility as the Nemorians began their first full day on Earth. Commander Vela had spent a restless night in the simple but clean quarters provided by their human hosts. Remember, she told her crew, we represent the Nemorian consortium. Maintain proper dignity at all times. Engineer Toll nodded stiffly. Their methods seem chaotic, Commander. I am concerned about their approach to our technology. We have little choice, Vela replied. We must tolerate their ways until we can contact a proper Nemorian vessel. When they emerged from their quarters, they found the humans already busy. Several large panels had been removed from the Stellar Horizon's hull, and tools and equipment were scattered across the landing pad. Maya approached them, wiping engine grease from her hands. Morning. Hope you slept well. We've started the initial assessment. Vela's eye ridges raised in alarm. You began work without consulting us. Time's wasting, Maya shrugged. Don't worry. We didn't take anything apart that can't be put back together. Toll hurried over to inspect the open panels, his four-fingered hands trembling slightly. This is highly irregular. There are 23 separate protocols that must be observed before accessing the primary systems. The tall human engineer, who had introduced himself as Jaden, looked up from where he was examining a circuit board. 23. We usually just make sure the power's off so we don't get zapped. Science Officer Merrick joined them, his face showing controlled distress. Our technology is carefully calibrated. The quantum matrices are aligned according to precise mathematical principles developed over centuries. Yeah, we noticed that, Jaden replied, pointing to a diagnostic screen. That's probably part of your problem. Too rigid. No room for fluctuation compensation. Maya led them toward a workshop where parts from the stellar horizon were already being examined. Come see what we found. Inside, the third mechanic, Ellie, had disassembled one of the quantum stabilizers and spread its components across a workbench. This is sacrilege, Toll gasped. That unit is a sacred creation of our most honored engineers. Ellie looked up, confused. Sacred? It's just a machine. A pretty good one, but the flow regulators are way too sensitive. One micro fluctuation, and the whole system cascades. Maya pointed to a schematic display. See this. Your coolant lines run parallel to your power conduits. When the power surges, which it always will eventually, the heat transfer becomes unstable. Vela studied the display with growing confusion. This design has been standard on Nemorian vessels for 5 generations. Well, that explains why we've picked up distress calls from 3 other ships with similar problems in the last year, Maya said. Your engineers might be overthinking things. Throughout the day, the cultural gap between the humans and Nemorians became increasingly apparent. The Nemorians insisted on formal meetings before each repair step. The humans preferred to dive in and solve problems as they found them. By midday, Toll was following Ellie around, lecturing about proper reverence for technology. Ellie simply nodded while continuing to work, occasionally asking questions that left Toll speechless. But why make it so complicated? Ellie asked while examining the quantum core. Wouldn't it be more reliable with fewer parts? The complexity reflects the sophistication of our civilization. Toll explained proudly. Ellie shrugged. Our old saying is, the more parts, the more problems. Commander Vela observed these interactions with growing interest. The humans lack the formal education of Nemorian engineers, yet they seem to grasp concepts intuitively that her people studied for decades. When Maya proposed a complete redesign of the coolant system, Vela felt she had to intervene. Your assistance is appreciated, she said carefully, but modifying our systems rather than simply repairing them would violate our technological sovereignty. Maya wiped her brow, leaving a smudge of grease. Look, Commander, we can put it back exactly the way it was, and you'll break down again in the next star system. Or we can fix the fundamental flaw in the design. It is not flawed, Science Officer Merrick insisted. It is the culmination of centuries of Nemorian engineering. Then why did it fail? Jaden asked simply. The question hung in the air. No one had an answer. That evening, the humans invited the Nemorians to share a meal. Vela had been prepared to politely decline. Nemorians rarely ate with other species, but the enticing smells from the facility's kitchen changed her mind. As they sat around a large table, the formality the Nemorians had been maintaining slowly began to crack. The humans asked questions about Nemorian worlds, and in turn shared stories of Earth. So you really have ceremonies for activating new technology? Ellie asked, passing a plate of food to Toll. Of course, Toll replied. The blessing of functionality is essential. New systems must be harmonized with the ship's existing energy. Jaden considered this. We just hit it with a hammer if it doesn't start the first time. The humans laughed. After a moment of shock, even Toll's lips twitched upward. Later, Maya showed Vela and her crew the facility's repair records. We fixed ships from 22 different worlds. Each one thought their way was the only right way. But the universe is big, and there are many ways to solve the same problem. Vela found herself nodding. Perhaps there is wisdom in flexibility. Building better bridges. The morning of the fifth day dawned clear and bright over Horizon Mechanics. Commander Velatarn woke early, drawn by the sound of excited voices outside her quarters. She hurried to the main workshop, where she found Maya and Jaden standing next to a completely redesigned coolant system laid out on the ground. "What is this?" Vela asked. "A hybrid." Maya grinned. "We kept the core principles of your design but reorganized the flow pattern. It's still Nemorian technology, just optimized." Engineer Toll studied the new design, his expression shifting from horror to curiosity to reluctant admiration. "The mathematical elegance is undeniable." "We'll install it if you approve," Maya said to Vela. "It's your ship, but this will increase efficiency by 40% and virtually eliminate the risk of cascade failure." Vela looked at her crew, then back at the eager humans. Her people valued tradition and proper procedure, but they also prized function and efficiency. "Proceed with the installation," she decided, "but Engineer Toll will observe and document all modifications." Maya nodded. "Deal. And maybe he can explain why you make your control interfaces so needlessly complicated while he's at it." As the humans returned to work, Vela realized that this unexpected stop on an uncharted world might teach her crew more than any formal exchange program ever could. These humans, with their casual manners and unorthodox methods, were challenging centuries of Nemorian certainty about the right way to do things. By the 8th day, the cultural barriers had begun to dissolve. Science Officer Merrick was working alongside Ellie, combining Nemorian theoretical knowledge with human practical experience to recalibrate the ship's sensor arrays. The improvements were impressive. A 27% increase in accuracy with 15% less power consumption. Navigation Officer Lyra had spent hours with Jaden, refining the navigational algorithms. The human's intuitive understanding of spatial relationships complemented Lyra's mathematical precision. Most surprising of all, Engineer Toll and Maya had developed a genuine rapport. Vela found them in the engine bay, deep in discussion about quantum harmonics. "Your theoretical framework is brilliant," Maya was saying, "but you're overthinking the implementation. Sometimes simple is better." Toll, who would have been offended by such a statement days ago, was nodding thoughtfully. "Perhaps our devotion to complexity has become excessive." That afternoon, as repairs neared completion, alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. A voice crackled over the communication system. "Weather alert. Severe storm system approaching from the northwest. ETA 12 minutes. Maya's casual demeanor vanished instantly. "We need to move now." The humans rushed to secure equipment and protect the partially reassembled stellar horizon. The Nemorians, uncertain what to do, initially stood watching. "Don't just stand there," Maya called out. "Help us get your ship secure." Vela made a decision. "Assist them," she ordered her crew. "Follow their instructions." The sky darkened rapidly as humans and aliens worked side by side. Wind began to howl around the buildings, carrying debris that clattered against walls and windows. "Get the main hangar doors closed," Jaden shouted over the rising storm. Vela joined Toll and two humans at the massive doors, pushing against the force of the wind. As they strained against the elements, a terrifying cracking sound came from above. "Look out," Merrick shouted. A section of roof support had broken loose and was plummeting toward them. Without hesitation, Toll pushed Ellie aside, placing himself in the path of the falling debris. The heavy metal beam struck him, knocking him to the ground. "Toll." Vela rushed to her engineer's side. "I'm functional," Toll gasped, though silver blood seeped from a wound on his shoulder. The humans quickly helped move Toll to safety, then returned to secure the doors. Working together, the combined team managed to lock down the facility just as the full fury of the storm hit. In the secure storm shelter beneath the main building, Maya examined Toll's injury. "You saved Ellie's life," she said quietly. "It was logical," Toll replied, though Vela noticed the pride in his voice. Nemorian physiology is more resilient than human. Thank you, Ellie said, her eyes bright with emotion. Not many would risk themselves for someone they met a week ago. As the storm raged outside, humans and Nemorians huddled together, sharing emergency rations and stories. The formal barriers that had separated them now seemed insignificant. Your databases say Earth is underdeveloped, Jaden remarked during a lull in the conversation. But technological advancement isn't everything. Indeed, Vela agreed, surprising herself with the admission. Perhaps true advancement lies not in the machines we build, but in how we respond to challenges and to each other. The storm passed by morning, leaving behind damaged buildings, but an intact spacecraft. The repairs continued with renewed vigor, humans and Nemorians now working as a unified team. 3 days later, the stellar horizon was ready for departure. The ship gleamed in the morning sun, not just repaired but improved. Every system had been optimized, every flaw addressed. Test runs showed performance metrics that exceeded the original specifications by margins that would astonish the Nemorian Engineering Guild. As the crew prepared for launch, Vela called everyone together for a formal departure ceremony. People of Earth, crew of Horizon Mechanics, she began, your assistance has been unconventional but invaluable. She inclined her head in the highest form of Nemorian respect. We offer payment according to your customs. From a case held by Science Officer Merrick, she produced several crystal data storage devices containing Nemorian currency codes. Maya shook her head. We don't want your money, Commander. We want knowledge exchange, technical information, star charts, things that help us grow. That is highly irregular, Merrick began, his voice carrying the concern of a traditional Nemorian. Our technological information is closely guarded. Vela raised her hand, silencing his objection. It is a fair request. You have shared your knowledge freely with us. We shall do the same. She took the data crystals from Merrick's case. These contain not currency, but technical specifications and star charts of Nemorian space. Use them to continue your growth. Maya's eyes widened in surprise. Thank you, Commander. Vela wasn't finished. Moreover, I propose something additional. The Nemorian consortium would benefit from human perspective. Would Horizon Mechanics consider establishing an exchange program with our engineering guild? The proposal sent ripples of excitement through both groups. After a brief discussion, Maya turned back to Vela. We accept your proposal. Jaden has volunteered to return with you as our first exchange engineer. He'll work with your people and bring back what he learns. Jaden stepped forward, carrying a small bag of personal belongings. He looked nervous but excited. I'll remain here, Maya continued, to share what we've learned about your technology with other mechanics. We expect there will be more visitors now that word spreads about our services. Vela nodded. The Nemorian Scientific Council will ensure your facility is marked on all navigation charts. Those in need will find their way to you. As the final preparations for departure were made, Engineer Toll approached Maya. His shoulder had healed well, though he would bear a scar, something he now spoke of with unexpected pride. I wish to speak with you before we depart, Toll said, his voice lacking its usual formality. Maya nodded. Of course. What's on your mind? I once believed technological advancement was the measure of civilization, he admitted. That superior machinery indicated superior beings. He gestured toward the stellar horizon. But your people have shown me that innovation comes not from perfect order, but from creative adaptation. You gave us much more than repairs. Maya smiled. That's the thing about humans. We don't just fix machines. We build connections. I have prepared something for you, Toll said, producing a small device from his pocket. It contains my personal engineering logs, not the official ones, my private thoughts and observations. Things I questioned but never spoke aloud. Maya accepted the gift carefully. Thank you. This means a lot. Perhaps together our people can build something greater than either could alone, Toll suggested. The boarding signal sounded. The time for departure had come. Jaden said his goodbyes to his friends, with displays of emotion that would have seemed inappropriate to the Nemorians just 2 weeks earlier, but now felt natural. As Commander Vela led her crew and the human volunteer up the ramp, she paused for one final look at Earth. This unplanned detour had changed them all. They had arrived seeking only repairs, but were leaving with much more. New perspectives, new ideas, and new friends. The ship's engines hummed to life. A smoother, more harmonious sound than before. The landing gear retracted, and the stellar horizon rose slowly into the clear blue sky. Maya and the remaining Horizon Mechanics crew watched until the ship was just a distant point of light. Then it flashed brightly as it engaged its faster-than-light drive, accelerating more quickly and efficiently than any Nemorian vessel had before. "Safe travels," Maya whispered. She turned back to the facility, where several new projects already awaited her attention. On a nearby workbench lay the communications array she had been designing, one that could reach across the vast distance to Nemorian space. Soon, Earth and the Nemorian homeworld would be connected, sharing knowledge and innovations. Horizon Mechanics had started as outcasts and misfits, people who could see value in what others discarded. Now they were ambassadors to the galaxy, carrying humanity's unique gift, the ability to repair not just what was broken, but to imagine how it could be better. Maya smiled as she picked up her tools and got back to work. There were always more things to fix, more connections to build. That was what humans did.